actually finished watching Guppy. And
what do you think?
Okay, I'm gonna be completely honest.
Yes.
I thought it was an okay film.
I thought it was a really good film. I really enjoyed it.
Yes. For me, it was somewhat okay only because, the first half of the film, you're still trying to figure out what exactly is going on. And it starts picking up towards the second half of the film.
Yeah.
And that's where I enjoyed it the most, was when the engineer comes into town.
Which was kind of interesting. Like, first we thought, okay, he's going to be like a villain in this kind of
You
movie.
did. You thought he was gonna be a villain,
I did.
and I was like, no, this guy I think is gonna be like, he's gonna come in and kind of do something. But I had different expectations. So just going back to the story a little bit.
Yeah.
So there's a kid by the name of Guppy. That's who the film revolves around, and his mom is wheelchair bound, which means she cannot physically walk, and she's wheelchair bound. Here is Guppy trying to raise money for his mother so he can get her a motorized wheelchair.
But here's the thing though, he wanted to get first the regular wheelchair, a little upgraded.
Right.
But then he watched Bangalore Days.
Yes, that was
when
so
that
cool.
scene came, we were like, we've seen it. And like they showed that part when Dulquer is on a wheelchair, kind of like roaming around, and then he wanted to buy the electronic one.
That was so cool how they made an emphasis on Bangalore Days in the film, and we both were like, "Oh my god, we've seen it!" And we knew exactly what that scene was. So that was really cool, kind of like relatable to the film.
And the funny part was when the shopkeeper calls the other guy, be like, "Have you seen Bangalore Days?" The guy goes like, "Yeah, who hasn't seen
I know.
it? My kids watches it all the time."
And Guppy gets his name because he has a whole bunch of fish, which I believe are called guppies.
Guppy, yeah. Guppies.
So they're called guppies, and he sells them. And he actually is well known within the town because he was able to like have them reproduce, and he was able to have a whole bunch of like guppies. So he sells them to make money, pretty much.
And there's also like a lot of politics going on where they want to build a bridge. Yeah. Pretty much, I think, to do a scam, because when they're building a bridge, they'll get money from the government.
Exactly.
They maybe want to like pocket some of the money and then make the bridge and stuff like that. That's why they have this engineer come out to this town to eventually build the bridge.
Because they said the bridge was not even necessary. That was one thing in the film, the bridge was not necessary.
Right, he finds out later on that we don't need to build a bridge over here. If we do it, like a lot of people will lose their job.
Right. Guppy and the engineer like just go like, I guess they were on the wrong paths. They like pretty much like got into it with a lot of reasons.
Right, but the reason I thought the engineer was a villain because he started off the fight. When he comes to get the tea, he asks Guppy, the Guppy asks him, what kind of tea do you want? You want more sugar? You want simple?
Right.
He says, make however you want it.
But see, that's like, I don't know. That's like saying, make it however you want it. Like, make it how you usually make it.
But then he did, and he gifts it to him.
Oh, yeah, then
he doesn't like it,
yeah,
and he
true.
spits it out. Then he has this like, very like attitude towards him. And then I think like him being like a little arrogant too, gave him the attitude back to him with the whole money thing situation, and there go the like little thing between both of them.
So in the film, there's just one girl who wears a veil, and all like the boys in the city are like,
funny.
that was so cute.
Funny.
They're like attracted by this girl. Guppy is too, but I thought there was gonna be like a strong love story, like that's what the film was gonna be about. But it was nothing like that.
I think they just put that in there just to make some like light, funny like
I think so
scenes in
too.
there.
So the grandfather is really protective of her and like drops her off at school, picks her up from school because he's like, dude, these village boys, they're all like messed up. Like I don't trust any of them.
He was also raising money for her as well, so she can,
for her education.
For her education as well.
So she become an engineer.
There was one part which I thought was like hilarious when there was a lot of engineer comes to this town and helping the main engineer. So he walks up to this girl, be like, hey, like I have this granddaughter. You tell me like what kind of like education she should pursue, so like she can be like you. And she goes like, oh, well, her after 10th grade, you can send her to like coaching classes. He was like, I know that too. Then he just walks off. That was like hilarious.
So throughout the film, he has a really strong relationship with his mom. Like I feel like they have such a strong bond. He takes care of her so much because the father passed away when he was really young. So after that point, he's just been taking care of her. His mom sometimes gets teary like at situations because she's thinking, I'm here wheelchair bound, I can't do anything. Here's my child who's working really hard, to like raise money for me. But the mom throughout the whole time does not know that he's raising all this money so she can have a better wheelchair because he just doesn't like what she's in right now. So towards like the middle of the film, the reason why you thought he was a villain is because they just kept on going at each other. Like Guppy and the engineer, like we're doing like pange with each other. You know, I felt like getting revenge and stuff like that. And there came a scene where the engineer was in like a building, like one of the sites or something like that, and he gets stabbed.
But remember why though? Because the Guppy hires someone to go pretty much beat him up, but the guy who was actually gone to beat him up got beat up himself.
Right.
And when he was leaving, Guppy sees him and he thought the job is done,
right,
but doesn't realize it. When he goes up there, he see the engineer was stabbed by somebody and he thinks his guy did it, but he didn't do it. He got chickened out, he left, and someone else did it. And they don't really show in that movie.
Right.
And towards the end. And there was really cool. Remember the one part when everyone tells him, Guppy, go apologize to him. Right. And then he goes to apologize, and then his tire was busted. And the engineer thought that he did it.
That Guppy did it.
Guppy did it, and he just runs and didn't realize it. Like, maybe he didn't do it. Maybe someone else did it. And then I think the whole stabbing thing, when that happened, he sees who did it. And that's when he realized it was the guy who used to work at the railway track, the grandfather of that really pretty girl.
Right.
And then eventually he goes up to him and tells him, I understand why you did it.
Right.
Don't feel bad. Like, I know what you did was wrong, but I forgive you. That's okay. And then eventually he tells him that even if you wouldn't have done all that, I still wouldn't have made a bridge over here because it's not really necessary.
Right, because he didn't just, stab him or puncture the tire. He even set like that place on fire where they were staying to build the bridge. So he did a lot of things, to get revenge. And this whole time when you're watching the film, you're thinking Guppy had something to do with it. Like you did not know until towards the end that it was the grandfather who did it.
Like you were thinking like Guppy is just like this arrogant kid.
I was thinking,
and I'm thinking it's the engineer. Maybe he would end of the day he would think, just a kid, I'm gonna let it go. But then I think they both kind of like held their ground.
Right.
They both are very hard headed, so they both kind of like did their thing. Eventually, the engineer realized it wasn't Guppy.
Right. So Guppy, right outside of the place where he worked, had like his own little, stationary with a whole bunch of guppies in it, right? Mm-hmm. So what the engineer did towards the beginning when they were going at it with each other, he pounded it, and then destroyed his whole little aquarium,
mad.
And that made him really mad. So then eventually, to make up for it towards the end of the film, when the engineer realizes that Guppy really wasn't behind all this, he made it back again. They had a special greeting for him, for Guppy to come back to where he was.
That moment was very special.
It was very special
because his engineer did this and he took off. He left.
Right.
He wanted to say thank you, but by that time he was gone. The only person he could think of was his mother. He was like, I gotta go tell my mother. Then he goes back to the house to only find out too that his mother passed away. That moment got me a little choked up. I had tears in my eyes, and it was, I don't know, it was very emotional.
But I felt like it was too quick. I feel like the film ended way too quick, and by what I mean, it was just kind of okay, now mom passed away, then you're trying to figure out what exactly is going on. I got really confused towards the end after his mom passed away. What exactly was going on? With Guppy, what happened with the engineer?
That was kind of confusing too. But one thing I do want to say, the shopkeepers decided to buy the chair for him.
Yeah.
And he eventually gets a chair, and they were kind of on their way to give it to him when the whole, with the mother passing away happened.
Sad.
That was really sad. But what was confusing for both of us, I don't know if the subtitle was off, the scene just came way too quick. It was the time when they were at the tea shop and this old guy came in. And where did he come from? It was kind of confusing.
Where did he come from, and how did he know so much about the engineer? Who was he? And then, at the end, you're trying to figure out, okay, now, one scene that was really confusing also is that when Guppy goes to the ocean, he lays there in the ocean, right? He lays there, he runs into the ocean, then the body, washes back. I thought he, committed suicide.
Yeah, I thought he,
me
died too. But eventually we know, he's not dead. They show the last part was this is us. Okay, this last part came when they show the engineer has his not his daughter. Then we find out that wasn't really his daughter. No. That was someone he was just taking care of.
Right.
And they see both of them on the bike, and eventually we were like, okay, then Guppy died, I guess.
Yeah.
And then they show Guppy sitting in a bag. So I think that part was okay, now he adopted him. He's gonna take care of him now because now Guppy doesn't have anyone. So that's the story pretty much about. I really enjoyed it. I really liked that. It was a very emotional, very sweet movie.
And then the music in the film was also really good.
The music was good.
It kind of like flowed with the story,
Yeah.
and it went very well. So once again, overall, I would say it was an okay film for me.
He acted really well.
Oh my.
I think he was like the John of the movie, and his expression when he was sad, his happiness when he
Yes.
sees his mother, that was just like very
was
beautiful.
beautiful.
I don't think it's very hard for a kid to act like this.
To bring those emotions out, and
Right.
especially like make an impact on you as a viewer while you're watching
Right.
it. But one thing that we noticed when we were watching the film is that the engineer looks so familiar. He looks so familiar.
He was in Internet Moideen.
He was in
and
Internet
he was in
Moideen,
Charlie
he
too.
was in Charlie too. So he
Right.
was in other films also.
And she kept like looking at the.
I was like,
looking at
oh
the guy.
my god! I'm like, I've seen him somewhere. I was like, look at his beard.
That's not what you say. You
Yeah.
say he looks very stylish. He looks good.
I was like, I love his beard.
Yeah.
Okay, ठीक है. Everything good.
I think all the scenes which had Guppy's friends in it was like hilarious.
Oh my
Like when
gosh.
they're trying to when they get into a little accident, when the engineer they try to get money out of him, and when that girl with the burqa finally comes out without the burqa, their faces like like oh my god.
know.
And then she goes like, my grandfather just have a chest pain. They all go
all
running,
go running.
like they wanted to be the hero. That was like so funny. That's something like someone who's like 13-year-old, they would do.
That's something they would do, especially, if their crush, and the dad,
Right.
go and help. So yeah, that was really cool to watch. I would definitely give it a thumbs up, only because like I said the actors acted very well,
Yeah.
and the story was really good. But I just kind of felt like it was just taking a while, and then the end just was too fast. So other than that, it was a good film overall.
It was a good film. Also, movie review of the movie. Guppy, do
Yes.
let us know what do you think about this movie. Also, do let us know what was your favorite part from the movie, which is very important because I want to know.
And keep sending your requests, guys, because we finally did a movie that we had several requests to do
Yes.
Guppy.
And
So
now we understand why, because this movie was well deserved and needed to be watched. So a lot more Telugu, Tamil reviews coming out. Just stay tuned, guys.
yeah, stay tuned. Sorry, I know for the past 3 or 4 days,
4 days
we
away.
have not posted any videos up or anything like that. We were actually on vacation. It was our 1-year wedding anniversary. It's actually coming, on the 23rd, but we went a little bit early just to go
Yes.
celebrate. So we were gone for a while.
But we're
Sorry
back.
about that. We are back, and we'll have more videos for sure this week. So, like he said, stay tuned, okay?
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Take care.